Hey there, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of RobaFett. I hope that you all are having a great week. I hope everybody had great holidays and everybody has a great new year. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and jump into the topic of today. So this is something I've been kind of thinking about ever since E3, and it's been something I've been reading up on here and there, and I've kind of formulated my own opinion on it, which is basically, is VR the next motion control? And of course, I'm talking about the motion controls that were the gimmick of the Wii, that sold the Wii, the Wii that came out at the perfect time and perfect place to have motion controls. Every housewife, every middle-aged soccer mom that wanted to stay in shape and wanted to stay in the house went and got Wii Fit. It was the gimmick that kept on giving to Nintendo for a little while. But as things got a little bit more advanced with touchscreen phones, apps, iPads, so on and so forth, the gimmick died down, and now Wiis, as we all know, everybody has about like 10 Wiis in their household. People will use them probably as coasters, for crying out loud. Or the most common thing, to keep your books from falling over. These things are collecting dust all over the United States. In pretty much every household you can think of. If you went in there, they probably have at least one Wii. Now back to the topic at hand. If we go ahead and we look at this year's E3, a big, humongous focus, both from Sony and Microsoft, was on VR, virtual reality. We know VR is coming sometime in 2016, along with many VR-specific games that have been in development over the past year. They're being endorsed. There's plenty of big YouTubers, not to name names, that have been seen playing, advocating the VR equipment. However, like when money's involved, things get a little bit murky. So, so who's to say who's truly liking it and who's not? But anyway, with that being said, just like with motion controls, most everybody seems to be jumping on the VR bandwagon here at the start of the quarter. Of course, Xbox showed off theirs, their virtual reality called the HoloLens, if you remember back at E3. It looked pretty impressive watching the Microsoft rep play Minecraft, although I found it funny that they were showing off a game that doesn't really need to be that visually impressive or appealing, being that Minecraft's nature. I mean, that is Minecraft's nature. It's a block builder. Microsoft also made a deal with Oculus Rift, in which every Rift sold will be accompanied by an Xbox One gamepad. So, ooh boy. Almost all the VR games currently in development require gamepads, even though there is, virtual reality controls that have been made. Most of them are relying on gamepads. Of course, we know Sony was showing off some of theirs, some of their virtual reality back at E3 as well. And of course, the ever infamous Michael Ephraim over at Sony has said, then this is quoting him, "I think VR is on top of everyone's mind about what the next 10 years are going to be about." That's a scary statement, and a very bold statement, and I'll get into that in a second. I'd also like to add that, of course, the only people that haven't really talked about VR, and it could just be because they haven't talked about anything, is Nintendo with their ever-secretive Nintendo Project NX. Whatever that's going to be, whatever, we could guess for days. But the fact remains they haven't really even seemed to explore that. So let me get into what scares me about this and how virtual reality will have to move forward if it wants to succeed. It's going to have to try to not step on anybody's toes. The problem with like even the Kinect that they were still trying to shove down our throats with the Xbox One, it was dead. Nobody wanted it, and they were pushing it on us. They made you buy the console with the Kinect at first. The only reason they stopped is because they knew that we didn't want it anymore. I mean, my Kinect, it's fine, it's great. All I use it to do is to go to Netflix and I tell the Xbox, hey, pause, play. That's pretty much it. If virtual reality can couple with the consoles, but kind of become its own thing, you know what I mean? And it's something separate, definitely separate. It has to be separate. It has to separate itself. Then, I could see it maybe going somewhere, because what they have to understand is that virtual reality isn't going to be for everybody, and actually it's probably only going to be for a select few. I don't expect it to be cheap, especially at first. A lot of people, especially casual gamers, they just want to pick up a controller and play Call of Duty or Halo or any number of other casual games that you can just go ahead and pick up with a controller and play. Also, VR it's really cool to think about, but I'm not sure how practical it's going to be. I mean, how many people are going to want to put on a virtual reality headset every time they want to play a video game? Not to mention with some of the people that I know, if I was playing a virtual reality game, I would get pranked non-stop. You're definitely putting yourself in a very vulnerable position to be playing a virtual reality game, okay? The direction I see it going in is actually, I see it going in a bad direction. I honestly, I'm starting to think that maybe virtual reality might, last maybe just as long as the Kinect and the motion, the Wii U, all that weird stuff that they got into. I think it might just be like that. I mean, I don't know. Just the way that they're going about it, it just doesn't seem smart. I don't think they're learning from their mistakes, or they're even viewing it that way. And that's going to be a big mistake. And another thing that really scares me is I'm just praying to God that a really cool game, like the really cool games that they have in development, don't get shoehorned into a virtual reality game and get ruined. Now, I'm not talking about any games in specific. Obviously, we don't know all that much yet, but I could just see that happening. As for myself, I really just enjoy having, my controller, my console. I'm a very simple guy, so especially with Nintendo, one thing I really hated about them is I had to go to my freaking Nintendo Dojo closet and be like, what am I going to play with today? Am I going to have the Pro controller, or maybe the nunchuck, or maybe the gun that you put the Wiimote in? Or here's something, I'll grab my gamepad. There's just so many different gimmicky controllers that you have to get just for one console. And I can see maybe something like that also becoming a reality. Especially with the next generation consoles, if they keep going down the road they're going. And according to Michael Ephraim, that's what the next 10 years is going to look like. Well, buddy, if we trusted you with that much foresight, then PlayStation never would have tried to crack into the motion control market. Okay, buddy? However, like I said, VR does also look very cool. I'm not completely knocking it. I'm just saying the direction it's going in is not looking the best. Anyway, guys, I just want to thank you for watching. I want to hear what you guys think about this. Do you think some mistakes are being made? Do you think virtual reality is going to be something great for the gaming market? I want to know, so just let me know in the comments below. As always, like, comment, rate, subscribe. Like I always say, you don't have to, but if you do, it really, really, really does help me out. And as always, keep those Punisher hats on, and I'll see you later.